All right, so get this. You guys sent in a ton of stuff about the gut microbiome.
Yeah.
And so we're going to deep dive into that today.
Awesome.
So basically, like, I gave all this stuff to expert speaker, and we're just going to kind of like talk about it, figure out what's really important, and try to give you guys like the info you need to like, take control of your own gut health.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that there's a lot of hype around gut microbiome.
Right.
But there is a lot of good science also coming out, so we can kind of parse that out for everybody.
For sure. Because I feel like I've been hearing about it for years.
Yeah.
But I'm still like a little bit fuzzy on like, okay, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What is a gut microbiome?
So basically, like, I think it's easier to think about your digestive system.
Okay.
Like a city, and all these microbes that live in your digestive system are like the inhabitants of that city.
Sure.
It's trillions of microbes, bacteria, viruses, fungi, all living together in this kind of dense community.
Okay, so it's not just like my stomach.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
They're throughout your entire digestive tract. You also have them in your nose, on your skin.
Oh, wow.
Basically, any place where your body comes into contact with the outside world.
Okay.
And like, think about this. Up to 50% of your fecal matter is actually made up of these microbes.
Oh, that's kind of gross,
Yeah.
but also pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like they're just all in there.
Yeah.
But where do they even come from?
Well, it starts at birth.
Oh, okay.
So the way that you're born actually has a big impact on your initial microbiome.
Oh, so like...
So babies who are born vaginally get their first dose of microbes from their mom's birth canal,
Okay.
whereas babies who are born via C-section are exposed to a different set of microbes from, like, the environment.
Gotcha. So there's already a difference. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm
Like,
good
right
at-
from the start. And then
Yeah.
in early life, things like breastfeeding versus formula feeding,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you get antibiotics, exposure to pets in the home, all of these things have a big impact on how your microbiome develops. That's crazy. I never would have thought about, like, the pet thing.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
And it, it kind of makes sense when you think about, dogs are rolling around outside all the time. They're bringing in all sorts of different
Yeah.
microbes.
That's wild.
And you sent over some stuff about the Hadza tribe.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of them?
Yeah, they're like a hunter-gatherer tribe somewhere in Africa, right?
That's right. They're in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And they offer a really fascinating glimpse into what our ancestral microbiome might have looked like.
Like a time capsule.
Exactly. So the Hadza eat a ton of fiber.
Yeah, I think it said like 150 grams or something.
Yeah, something big like that compared to, the average American who eats maybe 15 grams a day.
Yeah.
So their microbiome is incredibly diverse.
So that must mean that, like, the standard American diet is, like, really bad for our microbiome.
It really suggests that, our modern lifestyle...
Yeah. With all of its processed food and lack of fiber is probably contributing to a less diverse and, potentially less healthy microbiome.
Okay, this fiber thing keeps coming up.
Right.
So can we break it down? Because I feel like I hear about fiber all the time,
Sure.
but I don't really know what it means.
Yeah, it gets to why just cutting carbs isn't the answer.
Okay.
The standard American diet is full of these simple carbs and sugars.
Like white bread.
Right, white bread, sugary drinks, candy, all that stuff. And those can really mess with your gut microbiome.
Okay.
What we need to be focusing on are these things called microbiota accessible carbohydrates, or MEs. MCs.
Okay.
So these are a type of fiber that our gut bacteria can actually break down and use as fuel.
Okay, so they eat the MCs.
Exactly.
And they like it.
They love it.
Okay.
They thrive on it. And MEs are found in a variety of foods like fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains.
Okay.
And so this is important because if we're not getting enough MCs, our gut bacteria start to feed on the lining of our intestines, which can lead to inflammation and all sorts of other problems.
So we want to keep our gut bacteria happy.
We want to keep them happy and fed.
Gotcha. All right, so I think we've laid like a good foundation here.
Yeah.
So we've got this gut microbiome. It's super important.
Mm-hmm.
It affects our whole body.
Yeah.
They need these MACs.
Right.
What else did we learn from the stuff you looked at?
So one study that was really interesting was looking at the effects of fermented foods on the gut microbiome.
Fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So they had people eating fermented foods like it was their job.
Good.
And they compared the results to a group who were eating a high-fiber diet.
Okay.
And interestingly, both groups saw benefits.
Okay.
But the fermented food group actually had a bigger decrease in inflammation.
Interesting. So is one better than the other?
It's not necessarily about one being better. It's just that they both have unique benefits.
Gotcha.
And so the fermented food group also saw an increase in microbial diversity. And that's associated with a healthier gut overall.
Okay.
So incorporating fermented foods into your diet could be a really powerful tool for boosting your gut health.
More diversity is better.
Yeah, think about it like a rainforest.
Right.
Like if you have a diverse rainforest, it's more resilient to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same with your gut.
Sure.
A more diverse microbiome can better adapt to different foods, environmental factors, all that stuff, and it leads to a more stable, healthier gut overall.
Awesome. All right. Well, I know everyone's always asking about probiotics,
Yeah,
so we got to talk about them.
of course.
Do they work? Well, the probiotic industry is a huge market, like billions of dollars, but the science is a little bit more complicated
Okay,
than the marketing might lead you to believe.
gotcha.
So the problem is a lot of the over-the-counter probiotics that you can just buy at the store aren't concentrated enough
Okay.
to really effectively colonize your gut.
So they're not sticking around. They're not really sticking around. Plus, the actual contents of a lot of those probiotics don't actually match what's on the label.
Oh, so you might not even be getting what you think you're getting.
That's right. And even when the contents are accurate, the research on probiotics is still a bit mixed.
Interesting.
So some people find them helpful,
Yeah.
but there's even some evidence that they could slow down gut recovery after taking antibiotics.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's not as straightforward as like
Right. It's not a magic bullet.
take a probiotic and everything's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The best approach is really to nourish your existing microbiome
Okay.
with a healthy diet rich in fiber and fermented foods.
Gotcha.
Probiotics might have a place, but they shouldn't be your primary focus.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
All right, so we're learning all this stuff about the gut,
Right.
but I keep hearing about the gut-brain connection.
Yeah.
So what's up with that?
So we have this really cool communication highway between our gut and our brain called the gut-brain axis.
Gut-brain axis.
Yeah.
So they're like talking.
They're constantly talking back
Wow.
and forth, sending messages, and it's not just like a casual conversation.
Wow.
It's like a constant stream of information
Wow.
going back and forth. So the microbes in our gut produce these chemical messengers called metabolites.
Okay.
And these metabolites can travel through our bloodstream and actually influence our brain function.
So something produced in my gut
Mm-hmm.
can affect my brain.
Yeah, and some of these metabolites are so powerful that they can even cross the blood-brain barrier,
Wow.
which is like, the ultimate security system for our brain.
Yeah.
So if these gut microbes can get through that, it just shows how strong their influence is.
So my gut health could be affecting like my mental health, my mood, everything.
That's the fascinating possibility that research is really starting to uncover.
Why?
And this connection is highlighting how crucial gut health really is for our overall well-being.
Okay.
And it could be influencing our mental health immune system so much more.
That's crazy. It's like a whole nother world inside of us
It is.
that we had no idea about.
It's one of the most exciting areas of research right now. And the more we learn about the gut microbiome, the more we realize just how much it impacts every aspect of our health.
Okay, so let's recap a little bit. So we've got this gut microbiome. It's super complex. It's got all these microbes in there.
Yeah.
They need fiber, especially these MACs.
Right.
Fermented foods can help.
Yeah.
And diversity is good. Probiotics, maybe not so much.
Right.
And this whole gut-brain connection is wild.
It is.
But there's more.
Right. There is. We've only just scratched the surface.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so much exciting research emerging looking at everything from the role of the gut microbiome in chronic diseases to its potential for personalized medicine.
Wow. Okay, well, I am very intrigued to learn more.
Yeah.
But I think we need to take a quick break.
Sure.
So everyone, don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more on this amazing world of the gut microbiome.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So we've been talking about all these things that can affect our gut microbiome.
Mm-hmm.
But what about like all those cleanses and detoxes you see advertised everywhere?
Oh, yeah. Those are everywhere.
Do those actually like reset your gut?
Well, cleanses and detoxes are really popular,
Yeah.
but the science behind them is pretty shaky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's really no good evidence to suggest that they have any lasting benefits.
Okay.
And in fact, some of them can actually be harmful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they can disrupt that delicate balance of your gut microbiome.
So not a good idea.
Probably not the best idea.
Okay, what about fasting?
Fasting.
Like intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
Everyone's talking about it these days.
it's definitely trendy.
Does that affect the gut microbiome?
So fasting is a little bit more nuanced than cleanses.
Okay.
There is some research suggesting that short-term fasting can have some metabolic benefits.
Okay.
But when it comes to the long-term effects on the gut microbiome,
Yeah.
we just don't know enough yet.
Okay.
We need more research to really understand how different types of fasting, both short-term and long-term, affect that microbial balance.
Okay, so cleanses are out. Fasting is a maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
What about fecal transplants?
Oh, yeah. Have you heard about those?
I've heard about them.
They're pretty wild.
I don't really understand what they are, though.
So fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT,
FMT.
it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the most interesting areas of gut health research.
So what is it?
Well, it involves taking fecal matter from a healthy donor
Okay.
and transplanting it into the gut of a recipient.
Oh, so you're like giving someone else's gut bacteria
Yeah,
a new home.
exactly.
Wow, what's the point of that?
The idea is to introduce a diverse and healthy set of microbes
Okay.
into a gut that might be struggling.
Okay.
And there's been some promising research, particularly for treating things like C. diff infection.
C. diff.
Yeah, it's a really nasty bacterial infection
Okay.
that can be super hard to treat with traditional antibiotics.
So this is like a last resort kind of thing.
Yeah, in some cases it can be.
Wow, that is mind-blowing.
It is.
All right, so back to things that we can do every day.
Yeah.
So you've talked about fiber-fermented foods.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other things we can do diet-wise to, like, help our gut?
Yeah, one thing that's often overlooked is the importance of limiting processed foods,
Okay.
especially those that are high in sugar, artificial sweeteners, and emulsifiers.
Those are those things that make processed food, like, shelf-stable.
Exactly. They might be good for keeping food fresh,
Yeah.
but they can really wreak havoc on your gut.
Okay.
For example, artificial sweeteners.
Mm-hmm.
They might seem like a healthier alternative to sugar,
Yeah.
but there's a growing body of evidence that they can actually negatively impact your gut microbiome
Oh, no.
and even contribute to metabolic problems.
So just because something is, like, calorie-free
Right.
doesn't mean it's good for you.
Doesn't mean it's good for your gut.
Gotcha. Or
Mhm.
what about exercise?
Exercise.
Yeah. Does that play a role in gut health?
Absolutely. There's more and more research showing that regular exercise can really benefit your gut microbiome.
Wow, so working up a sweat is good for our gut too.
It's good for everything.
Okay, so what kind of exercise are we talking about here?
Well, the good news is you don't have to be a marathon runner
Okay, good.
to reap the gut-boosting benefits of exercise.
Okay.
Intense exercise can be beneficial, but really any type of movement is good.
So even just like going for a walk.
Even just going for a walk, just
Right.
getting your body moving, getting your heart rate up can have a positive impact on your gut microbiome.
That's great to know. And you know what I'm remembering from one of the podcasts I sent over?
Yeah.
NEAT. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
You'll love that term.
That's a good one, right?
It's a good one.
So it's like all the movement we do outside of exercise,
Exactly.
like walking around the house, fidgeting, even just standing up more,
all of that counts.
that all counts.
And it can really add up.
Okay, so the more we move, the better.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like a structured workout.
Exactly.
Good
It's a
stuff, isn't it?
fascinating piece of the metabolism puzzle.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we've got movement covered.
Mm-hmm.
What about what we're actually eating?
Yeah.
Like, how do we manage our energy intake and find a balance that works for us?
Well, when it comes to weight loss or even just maintaining a healthy weight,
Yeah.
it really comes down to finding a sustainable approach
Okay.
that fits your lifestyle.
Okay.
So some people find success with tracking calories or macros,
Mm-hmm.
while others prefer to focus on intuitive eating.
Intuitive eating.
Yeah.
What is that?
So intuitive eating is all about tuning into your body's natural hunger and fullness cues.
Okay.
It's about learning to eat when you're truly hungry
Okay.
and stopping when you're satisfied
Yeah.
without guilt or judgment.
So it's more about listening to your body than following like a strict set of rules.
Exactly. It's about developing a healthier relationship with food
Okay.
and ditching that diet mentality.
I like that, but how do you actually do it?
Well, it takes practice.
Okay.
But it's about paying attention to how different foods make you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how your body responds to certain foods, how your energy levels change, how your mood is affected.
Okay.
It's also about slowing down, savoring each bite, really being present with your food.
That sounds kind of meditative.
It is, in a way, it's about bringing awareness to the act of eating,
Okay.
rather than just mindlessly snacking throughout the day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
But what about cravings?
Craving.
Yeah, like those late night cravings.
Yes, of course.
Does intuitive eating have a solution for that?
Well, it's about getting curious about those cravings.
Okay.
Are you actually hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you bored, stressed, tired?
Okay.
Once you figure out the root cause, then you can find a healthier way to address it.
So, like, if I'm craving ice cream because I'm stressed,
Right.
maybe I should do something else to relax.
Exactly. It's about finding other coping mechanisms
Hmm.
that don't revolve around food.
I love that. All right, so intuitive eating.
Yeah.
It's all about tuning into your body.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that might not work for everybody.
Right.
Are there other strategies that we can use to, like, manage our cravings and make healthier choices?
Absolutely. One helpful tip is to make sure you're getting enough protein and fiber.
Okay.
These nutrients can help you feel fuller for longer,
Okay.
which can help curb those cravings and prevent overeating.
So, like, a protein-packed breakfast can set you up for success.
Exactly. And don't forget about those MAs.
Right, the Macy.
Yeah, they're not only good for your gut bacteria,
Mm-hmm.
but they also help regulate your blood sugar levels,
Okay.
which can further reduce cravings.
Awesome. All right, so we've got protein, fiber, mindful eating.
Mm-hmm.
What about, like, specific diets like keto, paleo, vegan?
Right.
Are any of those better or worse for your gut?
So each of those diets has its own pros and cons when it comes to gut health.
Okay.
The key is to approach any diet with balance
Okay.
and make sure you're getting all the nutrients you need.
So it's not about, like, cutting out entire food groups.
Right. It's about finding what works best for you
Okay.
and your individual needs.
Okay.
So, for example, the ketogenic diet, which is very low in carbs and high in fat,
Mm.
it can be beneficial for some people in the short term,
Okay.
but it could lead to a decrease in microbial diversity
Oh, wow.
if you're not careful.
So even a diet that's, like, praised for its health benefits
Right.
can have downsides.
Absolutely.
Okay, so balance is key.
Balance is key no matter what way of eating you choose.
Gotcha.
Whether you're following a specific diet or just trying to eat healthier overall.
Yeah.
Make sure you're getting enough fiber, protein, and those other essential nutrients we talked about to support a healthy gut microbiome.
Awesome. So there's no one right answer.
No one right answer.
It's about finding what works for you.
That's the beauty of it.
I like that. Speaking of finding what works,
Yeah.
is there, like, a magic number for fiber intake?
So there isn't one magic number for everyone,
Good.
but a good rule of thumb is to aim for about 15 grams of fiber for every 1,000 calories you consume.
Go back.
So if you're eating a 2,000 calorie diet, you would want to aim for around 30 grams of fiber per day.
That seems doable.
It is doable, especially if you're focusing on those gut-friendly MAs.
Right. And of course, we can't forget about fermented foods.
Never forget about fermented foods.
So any, like, easy tips for getting more fiber into our diets?
Well, the easiest place to start is by focusing on whole, unprocessed foods.
Okay.
So fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains are all excellent sources of fiber.
Okay.
So think about swapping out that white bread for a whole grain option.
Gotcha.
And don't forget about those leafy greens.
Leafy greens.
They're like nutritional powerhouses.
Okay.
They're packed with fiber and essential nutrients.
So lots of salad smoothies, sneak some spinach into my pasta sauce.
Exactly. Get creative and find ways to incorporate those fiber-rich foods
Let's do it.
into your meals and snacks.
I love it, but what about when we're craving something a little more indulgent?
Ah, yes, those cravings.
Can we still enjoy those things and, like, prioritize our gut health?
Of course, it's all about balance and moderation.
Okay.
Depriving yourself completely will likely backfire.
Yeah.
And could lead to overeating later on.
So it's okay to have a slice of cake every now and then.
Absolutely. Just make sure you're balancing it out with all those gut-friendly foods we've been talking about.
Okay, this is so refreshing.
Good.
It's not about restriction or guilt. It's about finding what works and enjoying it.
That's the key. Gut health shouldn't be about perfection. It's about finding a sustainable way of eating that you can stick with long term.
Yeah.
And that supports your overall well-being.
I love that. All right, so we've talked about a lot of stuff here.
We have.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But there's one more thing I want to touch on before we move on,
Okay.
and that's seed oils.
Ah, seed oil is the topic that everyone loves to debate.
It's a hot topic.
It is.
Some people say they're like poison.
Right.
Other people say they're totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you stand on this?
So where do I stand on seed oils?
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
There are definitely strong opinions out there.
Yeah.
I think it's important to approach it with a balanced perspective.
Okay.
You know, the main concern with seed oils is that they're high in these things called polyunsaturated fatty acids, or PUFAs.
Okay, PUFAs, those are the...
So PUFAs are essential fatty acids.
Okay.
That means our bodies need them to function properly, but we can't make them on our own. So
Right.
we have to get them from our diet.
Okay.
And they're involved in all sorts of important processes like cell growth and brain health.
So they're good for us?
They can be, but here's the thing.
Okay.
PUFAs are really susceptible to oxidation.
Oxidation, what is that?
So oxidation is basically when these fatty acids react with oxygen.
Okay.
And it can happen when they're exposed to heat, light, or air.
Okay.
And when PUFAs oxidize, they can form these harmful compounds.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and some researchers believe that these compounds can contribute to inflammation and other health problems.
Oh, so is that why people say that cooking with seed oils is bad?
Well, it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
First of all, not all seed oils are created equal.
No.
Some of them, like avocado oil and olive oil, are much more stable and less likely to oxidize
Okay.
than others, like soybean oil or corn oil.
So we need to be picky about which ones we're using.
Exactly, and how we're using them.
Okay.
So if you're cooking at high heat,
Yeah.
it's generally best to choose those more stable oils.
Like avocado or olive oil.
Right.
Okay.
But what about when you're not cooking with them?
Yeah, like in salad dressings.
Exactly.
Mm.
That's where the research gets a little bit murky.
Yeah.
We need more long-term studies
Mhm.
to really understand the full impact of seed oils on our health.
Okay.
Some studies have linked high seed oil consumption with increased inflammation, but others haven't found that connection.
So more research is needed.
Pretty much.
Okay, but until we know more.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to be mindful of your seed oil intake.
Hmm.
Limit your intake of the highly processed ones like soybean oil and corn oil. And focus on the more stable options like avocado and olive oil.
Gotcha. All right, so moderation is key.
Moderation is always a good idea.
Okay, well, this has been so helpful. I feel like I've learned so much.
Good.
I'm glad. Is there anything else we should cover before we wrap up?
One thing we haven't really talked about is the connection between the gut microbiome and our genes.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
It's really fascinating.
What's the connection?
So our genes basically provide the blueprint for our bodies, right? But it turns out that our gut microbiome can actually influence how those genes are expressed.
Wait, so our gut microbes can like turn genes on and off?
It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. How does that even work?
So it's this field called epigenetics.
Epigenetics.
It's a little complicated,
Yeah.
but essentially environmental and lifestyle factors can impact gene activity
Okay.
without actually changing the DNA sequence itself.
Okay.
So things like what we eat, how much we exercise, our stress levels, all of these can influence gene expression.
Wow.
And our gut microbiome plays a big role in this.
So it's not just about the genes we're born with.
Right.
It's also about how those genes are being affected by, like, all the microbes in our gut.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
Because if we can shape our gut microbiome through our diet and lifestyle, could we potentially influence the expression of our genes in a way that benefits our health?
Wow. That's like next level stuff.
It is. It's a really exciting area of research.
Yeah.
And we're learning more every day about how the gut microbiome impacts our health.
That's amazing.
Okay.
All right. Well, this whole deep dive has been a wild ride.
It has.
We started out wanting to understand the gut microbiome better, and we've uncovered all these incredible connections.
It's all connected.
It really is all connected.
Yeah.
So what's the one piece of advice you would give to our listeners
That's a good question.
based on everything we've talked about?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the gut microbiome is dynamic. It's constantly evolving, and it's never too late to start making changes to support its health.
Okay.
So focus on eating a diverse diet, rich in fiber and fermented foods.
Okay.
Get regular exercise, manage your stress, and listen to your body's cues.
I love that it's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about finding what works for you
Exactly.
and making those gradual changes over time.
Right. It's a journey, not a destination.
I love that. All right, folks. Well, that concludes our deep dive into the world of the gut microbiome.
It's been fun.
We hope you learned a lot and that you're feeling inspired to take care of your gut.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time on the deep dive.
Bye, everyone.